Hello, Wellness Warriors. Welcome to Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition. I'm Violet.
And I'm Pat.
I've gotten messages from you guys talking about the feeling that you've completely lost control of your diet. So that you were really on track doing keto, low carb, paleo, whatever it was that you were doing. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, out of control.
So, Wellness Warriors, we're gonna go over maybe the reasons why you could have gone off track, and we're gonna tell you how to get back on. So, how do we know if we've gotten off track or off keto? I think the first pretty obvious sign for me was like the scale is going back up a little bit. Like the first thing you know, after a month, after two, you're up like 10 pounds. So that's a pretty good sign that you're off track. You're maybe eating more carbs that you should.
I actually think that when that's happens to us because we think we've got it all under control, right? It might have been months that you're eating this way and you think I've got this. And then again, like me too, I had the scale thing. You end up stepping on the scale one day and it's just like, whoa, wait a minute. Where did that 10 pounds come from? And it's like, it kind of freaks you out, right? Because you're kind of hoping it's water, but right, if it's not, it could be very scary. I think another thing that sometimes happens to us is inflammation.
Yeah.
So our inflammation can get back and like all of a sudden you're achy and having a lot of pains and just not feeling good, which possibly keeps us in bed longer. So, and then we're not sure, is it fatigue, which we also get, or is it that I'm just in pain, I don't want to get up?
Yeah. Wash your skin also, like pimples, skin tags. I know I have a little skin tag on my arm that appeared. So these are good signs. Also, especially the skin tags. I think like they're a good signs of an overeating of carbs.
Yeah. And the final one that's kind of was my story, and it's kind of like, it's gross, but like bathroom runs. Like when I overeat sugar, I'm like doing bathroom runs, and it's like, one of the best ways to make sure you don't overdo your sugar is if you have bathroom runs, because I'm like so strict on it now because I hate when that happens. So that's another huge sign.
And the cravings, that's a really good sign if you feel like you need to eat between meals, especially like nowadays with the COVID and you're working from home, maybe you're working close to the kitchen, like the food is really like tempting. So so you need to be careful. Like I know like I've had those cravings like in the past few weeks. If you have sweet cravings, that's a good sign that maybe you're off keto or you're not in ketosis anymore.
And I would just like to add to that, like when you say sweet, like, I want everybody to think carby, right? Even if what you're craving for is some French fries or a plate of pasta, like if you've not eaten that for the longest time and then all of a sudden that's pulling on you, it's probably because somewhere along the way you've fallen out of ketosis. And of course, I guess the other one that goes alongside that is hunger. Like, so being hungry between meals, it's almost like if I've gone backwards, like I was able to get down to like 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day, and then all of a sudden I can't get through a day without eating 3 meals. Probably there's something happening there. So what are the things that cause us to actually come off of our way of eating? So whether it's keto, low carb, what pushes us out?
For me, the first one was a sudden change in context, like we just like talked a little bit earlier, like with the COVID situation. Like the kids are home, we work from home, you don't have the same activities, you don't for a while now. I think like everything is reopening slowly in Montreal, but like couldn't go to the gym, couldn't go to the movies, so you're kind of like you're confined in your home, and that can be like a little bit harder to manage for many people, I think.
And like I feel like we see it right now because of COVID, but it's so sneaky how it's always happening, right? Like how many people that could be doing really well in their health and then they're in a divorce, all of a sudden they're not managing, they lose their job, all of a sudden they're not managing, they break up with their best friend, all of a sudden they're not managing. So there's any major life change actually can cause us to fall out of the good behaviors that we were doing, and it's important for us to understand and know that that's a possibility.
What about friends or families that actually could even in some cases sabotage us into our diet, that don't believe that we're doing a good thing? Or if, for example, your parents are still cooking for you, they're not cooking in a way you want, like you want your food, for example. Is that a possibility too?
Of course, I think like, well, first of all, I feel like that sabotage, like you said, it could be subtle, like I'm just not cooking the way that you want to cook. And then so if I'm a teen or early adulthood person still living at home, I might find it disrespectful that my mom made me supper, but I'm eating something else. So I might end up eating it just out of respect, but then I'm damaging my health. But then you also have the other way where it's like they actively are trying to sabotage you, which I've heard of too, where they just don't believe that keto's healthy. And interestingly, I feel like there's one other one that's we didn't say from the beginning, but it's like the obvious one, which is emotions, right? Like the more upset, I know for myself anyways, if I'm upset, the first thought that comes to me is eating some nuts. It's like the first thought to come to me.
But it's a good thing because before it was chocolate, so
But it's still not good,
Yeah, I know.
right? Because
Well,
because nuts can push me over
yeah.
so easily, and then I'm again running to the bathroom. So, but like for me, like that's I did notice that emotional. Did you ever notice emotional stuff pushing you over?
Yeah, I think it's more for me. It was more like boredom. Like you have to be careful about boredom. Like I said, you don't have access to your usual activities, so you're on your couch watching TV. So yeah, I think like that's another situation where like the pantry is a little bit appealing.
I
Like
want
to
to
go
thank
get
you
those.
for saying it that way
Okay.
because people don't understand that boredom is an emotion,
Oh, okay.
right? And they think, oh, I was just bored, but like, yeah, but that means you were feeling something and it pushed you to eat something, right? We need to be conscious of boredom, loneliness, these things that come in, rejection, and make us feel like we want to self-soothe,
Yeah.
and then we end up doing something that we're annoyed with ourselves about.
Because you can totally watch TV and just like have a bottle of water and that's gonna be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's just like so sometimes you just watch your TV show and you want your nuts, or if you don't, even if you're not keto, you want your chips, you want your popcorn, and all those behaviors can be quite like damaging on your health.
And what happens if the boredom that you're having is not for something solitary? We also need to the problem solve. Like if I'm bored because I want to have connection with people, then can I FaceTime somebody? Can I call somebody? You know, can I social distance walk with somebody? Like create the situation where I'm actually not alone.
So next, the big question: how do we get back on?
Yeah. Yeah. How do we fix it?
Yeah, how do we fix it? Indeed.
Honestly, it's simple, but yet hard to do, right? It's getting back to basics. Sometimes you just have to start over. And now this will depend how far down the rabbit hole did you go, right? Some people are lucky enough, like myself, because I'm a little bit on me, right? That I will notice changes right away because with the physical pain I had, I can't afford not to notice. But let's say you weren't as swift as noticing that I am. Like you might have to start over. That means going back to really basics, like get past the keto flu again.
Yeah, true.
So do that detox and then start from there.
But even first of all, believe you can do it, because like I know when I've gone off track, like okay, you have a piece of bread, you have like honestly I wasn't like into sugar cookies, but like just a piece of bread, but it's not that bad, like, but maybe it is like you need to believe that you can like that you don't need those food in your diet, and actually go back, like you said, to the basic, the 20 grams or carbs or less. But also means like getting back to tracking, getting back to weighing yourself, like all those maybe you can cover all those little things you need to do.
Yeah, so basically it's when we say get back to basics, we're 20 grams of carbs or less. That's every day, rain or shine, birthday or no birthday, like 20 grams of carbs or less. And if you start doing that again, what you're going to notice is how much over you were. And so like it's so interesting to me that, as you said, like if you say, oh, it's just a piece of bread, it's not that bad. At the same time, it's just a piece of bread, why'd you eat it? Right? We can look at it from both sides of that coin, right? Like am I so used to giving myself a way out that I'm giving myself a way out of being healthy? And that's a scary thought to have. And I'm saying it like that because I want you to see it as a scary thought to have, that I'm actually giving myself a way out of being healthy. Let's not do that, right? Wellness warriors, like you matter so much, and obviously much more than a piece of bread.
Needless to say that piece of bread will also push you to be more hungry, to want more bread, to have more cravings for carbs. So yeah, you really need to get back, like you make a plan, write yourself a plan, like you did in the beginning. Like I know we did in the beginning. We're motivated. We knew our we knew what our limits were. So write it down. Like just write it down. Be clear with yourself where you can go, where you can't go, and then get back on your scale, get back on weighing your food too, and
I'm
for
smiling a little bit, but I'm
yeah,
smiling because you said where you can't go.
right,
I've said this a million times. You can go anywhere you want to go.
okay,
Is it going to get you what you want?
okay, yeah,
Right? It's not about where you can't go. Because as soon as you tell yourself you can't go there, you're going to want to go there.
mm,
Is that going to give me what I want?
mm,
So I eat this piece of bread. Is it giving me what I want? And if what you want is taste, then go for it. You're going to eat that bread, and then tomorrow you're going to have an apple, and the next day you're going to have. And it's okay if that's what you want. But if it's not what you want, understand that that piece of bread is the door to. Oh, it's just a piece of this. Oh, it's just a.
mm. Plan your shopping ahead. I think it's a really important thing to keep in mind. Do like plan your shopping.
I don't know how I stay on track
Mm,
because I'm so like that's one thing I
mm,
still struggle with up to today, but I think it's just because I don't buy
yeah,
other stuff
yeah,
that I end up staying on track. So it's either there's food in the house or there's none,
hmm,
right? But when there's none, I'm much more likely to fast than to eat something wrong. But seriously, I do see where if I was that person who cooked for people who didn't eat like me,
mm,
because thankfully when I cook for my daughter, she eats whatever I make. But like if I was that person that had that going on in my house, I'd be in trouble.
yeah,
So I agree with you. Like
yeah,
the best thing
yeah.
we can do is plan shop. Just like shop,
Yeah.
shop with a list. What I want to
Mm,
say.
yeah, and plan for your family too. Like, you just don't go like to the grocery and buy food. Know what you're buying for your daughters and sons. Will know what you're buying for your spouses. So it's clear that this food is for like how many times like you had food in the house and you didn't touch it because this was for your daughter. So it was clear in your head that no, that's for my daughter. I
You're
don't touch
pulling
it.
back things from way back in history
Yeah, I
because
know,
that's back
but it's
when
a
I
good
was
thing.
eating normal, like I was eating normal food,
Yeah.
and if I bought her any kind
Oh,
of junk food
I'm
that
joking.
I thought I might eat, I would just label it that's hers,
Mm.
and that actually
But
kept me from eating it.
but it's a good trick because
Yeah.
like your kids might want fries, your spouses might want fries, and like it's when you know what you're allowing yourself like to eat, you won't touch it. So
I think that's
mm,
cool what you just said too because it's interesting. It's a good thing to do especially at the beginning, when you're not used to seeing that as not for you.
mm,
Like as soon as you start seeing it as not as for them and not for you, like all of a sudden I don't even tell myself that
yeah.
anymore. I just buy the stuff. Like if she adds something to the list, I'll buy it
Mhm.
because whatever she added to the list and she wants it, and like at some point I have to understand that's her decision to make.
Mhm.
But then the flip side of the coin is that I know I'm not going to eat it just because that's not going to help me feel good.
But I know, like for example, even when we were like doing low carb keto lifestyle, you were labeling that food. I wasn't, and honestly, if I was going to Costco and buying that gigantic container of cookies, I was the one eating most of them. I was almost like, okay, they're gonna need that because my boss gonna be with me like the next couple of days, and I was eating them. But like since I've gone low carb, like it's like you do like these are for the boys. I'm not eating them, and I don't like. But of course, you lose your
Sweet tooth.
craving
Yeah.
for sugar. Also, that's helpful, but not touching them. So it's a good trick.
I used to be that person. So I was listening to you talk about Costco, Costco, Costco. I used to be that person that, oh, I'm going to buy her cookies at Costco because, well, first of all, there's the three of them. So like they're going to go through them. But I was also that person that thought, oh, save money, save money. I don't do that anymore. Like if she asked me to buy something, I buy the smallest container of it because I know, first of all, I know her. She wants one cookie. She's going to open it. She's going to have one cookie. I might end up throwing those cookies away. So if I buy the small container, I actually save myself money. But I still save myself money because when she gets through those cookies, her cravings, like her want for that is gone, and she can go like weeks before she can be like, oh, could you buy that, blah 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 again. So I feel like maybe that's the other part of the story is that we need also as the person making the purchases to start to question like, do I really need to buy them enough to be like that every single minute that they look for it, it's there? Is it okay for them to go to the cupboard and say, Mom, there's no cookies? I'll say, I'll buy some tomorrow. And tonight you didn't have. Right?
Mm.
And this is more about like just thinking forward, right? If my kid gets used to sometimes there isn't junk, what happens? Well, they learn sometimes not to eat junk.
So we can sum it up in like you need to get back to basics. So
Yeah.
you weigh your food, you weigh yourself, you make a list, you plan in advance,
Yeah.
I think like with that,
We're pretty
you're in
good.
good, yeah, you're in good position to get back on track. And it's not gonna take long. Obviously, like you've been in keto before. Depending how far off you got, like, but like what the worst could happen is like
You're
you have
starting
your
over.
flu. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have your keto flu, and you just go through your keto flu.
And
So,
the good part is you know what to expect,
yeah.
right? Like you've done it before. So, and then of course, once you're back there, so once you're back doing your healthy lifestyle, we need to assess
Mm-hmm.
and learn from our past mistakes. Right? That's the next big
Yeah.
thing. How do I make sure that I stay on track in the future? And it's not about staying on track because of weight. I mean, honestly, like that might be the number one thing that shows you like you're off track. But I love to say this because I want everyone to this to be an automatic thought for everybody. Wellness warriors, when you are building a healthy body, it's 7 years. So if I fall off track for 3 months, that's 3 months that I've interrupted my healthy building, right? That matters.
But I feel like yeah, it's important to give ourselves the tool to not like
Yeah.
going off track again, because if it happened once and you're not learning from that mistake, like it's gonna happen again. So you need to again write stuff. Why did I go off track? Like what were the condition? What can I do better the next time?
I'm just wondering about that, what we talked about earlier. What combination of things caused you to fall off track? Because you're different than me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for me, it's like maybe I got into a disagreement with somebody and then the next day I'm eating more nuts. But what was your thing? Did you lose your job? Are you going through a divorce? Like, like did your kid get hurt and like you just couldn't manage because your kid was in pain? Like, what's your specific situation? Because if I don't let myself recognize that, oh my goodness, like that happened and then I started eating back like I used to eat, I'm not going to be able to pick up on it in the future. Because as you said, going forward into the future, I might be able to preview like, oh, I had a big argument with my best friend. Pay attention to what I'm eating in the next few days.
It's important to realize like what pushed you to be off keto, but also I think it's important at the end of the process to still keep like I'm not saying like weigh yourself every day, but like keep yourself in check. So weigh every other week, maybe. I don't know. Like, what would be the ideal, or what would be your recommendation to check in?
Well, I think like at the very beginning, you might want to do every other week just because I think for some of us, the weight regain can be so fast. But I also feel that the further into living a ketogenic lifestyle you get, so it's about balance, right? If I'm eating and I'm eating on track, and even if I'm still weighing my stuff, it's even more likely that I'm eating on track, then I'm going to get into a very comfortable place with myself where I kind of know what I can eat. And so the better that you're staying on track, the less you need to weigh. But then the flip side of the coin is the more I think I'm staying on track, the possibility opens that I might not be, right? So this is where I say, like, it's not that I'm saying don't check in, but I would probably, like, I know myself right now, I check in monthly. I probably could check in every other month, but I check in monthly just because, like I said, it's happened to me where I step on the scale a month later and I'm up like 7-ish, 8-ish pounds. And it's like, whoa, what happened? Right? So I do try to do it monthly just because I don't want to get to 2 months and be 14 up. And you don't see it, right? I look at myself all the time, well, not all the time, but every day at some point I do look at myself. So I wouldn't notice it. So checking in at least monthly for me, if you find yourself stable and you're not having any fluctuations or like minor, I mean, 1 pound or two is normal, right? Up or down. But like, and sometimes I get on and I'm lower. But it's like when you're up like by 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, like you want to start paying a bit more attention. Although it still can happen as a random thing. It's just about paying
Yeah.
attention.
Of course, if you're up like 2 pounds,
Yes,
I'm gonna say
normal.
like, yeah, it's normal. Like, it's like, is there a number we could say, like you said, 5, 6, 7 pounds?
So
Like,
I'll tell you
need to
what.
be careful.
Sorry, I'll tell you what happened for me that made me start to be a bit more strict with myself. Like I stepped on the scale 1 month, I was like 5-ish pounds up. And I'm like, okay, it can happen, blah blah blah. And then the next month, I was 10 pounds up, and it's like, okay, wait a minute. So clearly, this is a trend now, and it's not just a one-time situation. So then I kind of when I looked in, like, so when I tracked again, I realized, oh yeah, I was eating more protein than I had been eating before, right? So for me, it was protein. And I was really eating a lot more protein,
So that,
with my fat staying the same, right? So like that was part of the issue.
okay, so that's a good tip. Like the first time, if you're back on weighing the first time, don't make a big like story about it. Like the second time, 2 weeks after, a month after, just try to see if there's a
A trend.
tendency. I guess like with your numbers, and then when you see there's possible trouble, then get back to basic and start weighing.
And I just want to point out, I wasn't frustrated even when it was 10. I just wanted to correct it because it doesn't make sense to be mad at me. It makes more sense to understand what mistake I was making and fix it. By paying attention to what you're doing, you can absolutely stay on track. Keto is sustainable. I want to thank you for watching Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition. We love making these videos for you guys. There's Patreon links in the description if you'd like to contribute to the production of videos. We have t-shirts. I forgot about that. If you'd like to purchase a t-shirt to help support the show. Thanks for watching. Talk to you next time.
See you next time.